Okay folks, so this week I want you to do a little bit more work on the decimal time stuff. So the first couple of exercises that I've set you is for that. And then the last couple of exercises are looking at speed, distance, time graphs. Okay, so I've downloaded a couple of examples to kind of help us look at this. So we'll go through these. We've got 3 different ones here, and hopefully that'll help with the work, and we can go over some of the stuff live in class as well. So this one says the graph opposite shows an outward journey from A to B to C to D, and then a return home from D to E. Now the first thing to highlight, okay, is how do we know that we're returning home from D to E? Well, because the graph is going back to the start. So this is our distance travelled out the way, A to B to C to D. That's us travelling to the furthest point, and then we're travelling back to the start from D to E. Okay, so that's the first thing to point out. Now, it says we can answer questions about the journey from the graph, including finding the speed at various stages. So, up the side here, we've got distance in kilometres on our y-axis, okay? And along the bottom on our x-axis, we've got the time, and you can see that we're starting at 10 o'clock and we're finishing just after 1 o'clock. So, can you see that after an hour, a stop of half an hour was made at B? Okay, so if we look at this bit of the graph, okay, we're going along from 10 till 11 o'clock. We've travelled for an hour, we've travelled 60 kilometres, but then we don't travel any distance for half an hour. So when the graph is flat horizontally like that, it means that we've stopped. So we're stationary, we've not travelled anywhere. And then at 11:30, we start travelling again until we get to the point D that's 100 kilometres away. Now, it says here, can you also see that since the line CD is steeper than the line AB, the speed was greater for that part? Now, you might not realise that just now, but if we compare AB here, and then we compare CD here, okay, CD is steeper, and that means that it's going faster, and we can read the times off and get the speeds in a wee second. So, we can calculate the speed at various stages as follows. So, A to B. If we look at A to B here, so that's the bit I've highlighted in yellow, we're starting at 10 o'clock and we're finishing at 11 o'clock, so our time is 1 hour. Let me just make sure we can actually see this. Okay, our time is 1 hour. The distance, how far we've travelled from 0 to 60, so the distance is 60 kilometres per hour. Speed is distance divided by time, so 60 divided by 1, which obviously gives us a speed of 60 kilometres an hour. B to C, the speed's obviously going to be 0, so this is this box here, okay, because, well, if we think about it, we're not travelling anywhere, so we've not got any speed, so that one's hopefully a little bit more obvious. C to D, okay, next is this part of the journey here. Now, the time is just half an hour. If we look at our times here, we're starting at 11:30, we finish at 12, so that's half an hour. Now we know from the work we've been doing, we're going to write that as 0.5 hours. The distance we've travelled from 60 all the way up to 100, so that's 40 kilometres. So our speed is 80 kilometres an hour, and there we go, we've proven that that speed is faster than the speed from A to B, okay? And then the final bit, working when we travel back, we're doing the journey back in one fell move, okay, one swoop. So we're going from D all the way to E, which we know is 100 kilometres. Okay, how long is it taking us? Well, D is 12 o'clock. E gets back down to the start at 1 box after 1300 hours, so 1 box after 1 p.m. Each hour is split up into 4 boxes here, so each hour must be 15 minutes. So 1¼ hours, or as we know from the work we've been looking at, that's going to be 1.25. So our distance is 100, our time is 1.25. When we do the divide and sum, we get 80 kilometres an hour. So the return journey from D to E is the same speed as the last bit of the original journey from C to D. So that's reading all the information off the graph, and that was our first example. Let's have a look at this question then and see if we can answer it. This time distance graph shows Lucy's journey from her home in Bower to a meeting in Creebar. So it doesn't come back to the start. Okay, we've gone from her home in Bower. It looks like we've got a stop there, and then we're heading to Creebar. Okay, she set out at 8 o'clock. There's the 8 o'clock along the motorway. Stopped to do some shopping. So as we were going through, we stopped about the shopping part, and then following the rest of her journey along the A17 trunk route. How long was the first part of her journey along the motorway? So until she stops here, that's the first part of her journey. Halfway between 80 and 120, that's going to be 100 kilometres. How long did her shopping take? Right, how long is she stationary? So she stops at 10 o'clock to do this shopping. And then she starts again here. Now look, this is 10 and this is 12. We're halfway between that. So that looks like it's 11 o'clock. So her shopping took an hour. It took from 10 till 11. What time did she arrive in Creebar? She's arrived at 1400 hours. Okay, or 2 p.m. And then part D is asking us to calculate 3 different speeds. So her speed on the motorway. Her speed on the motorway was this first part of the journey. So 8 till 10, that's 2 hours. Her time is 2 hours. Okay. Her distance travelled was 100 kilometres. So her speed, distance divided by time, 100 divided by 2, which is 50 kilometres per hour. Okay, so that's her speed on the motorway. Her speed between 10 and 11 was this part here of the journey when she was shopping, so it's 0 kilometres per hour. And then along the A17, so part 3, her distance, we've gone from 100 to 160, so her distance is 60 kilometres. Her time, she starts at 11 a.m. and she finishes at 2 p.m, so that's 3 hours, 11, 12, 1, 2. So her time is 3 hours. Speed is distance divided by time, 60 divided by 3. Her average speed is just 20 kilometres an hour. Okay, 20 kilometres an hour. So that's how we would do that first one. Okay, we've got another example to have a wee look at. Louis set off in his Renault from Brie to Lyon at 8 a.m. along the French country road. So this is Louis' journey here, Brie to Lyon, and he's going by country roads. Okay. Henri caught the 8:30 train instead. So Henri's gone by train. He's left at 8:30. You can see the line's steeper, so he's going faster. And he obviously arrives in Lyon sooner. And Lyon is how many kilometres away? Well, we'll have to work that out in a second. Now, calculate Louis' speed for part A. Calculate Henri's speed for part B. When did Henri's train overtake Louis in his car for part C? And how far away from Lyon were they when Henri overtook Louis? So, Louis' speed first of all. First of all, let's look at the time it took him. It took him an hour and a half to get to Lyon. So his time is 1.5 hours. An hour and a half, remember, 1.5. The distance, we've got 0, 20, 40, so that will be 60 kilometres away. So Louis' speed, let's just put this, see where we've got space for it. Let's just write it over here. Louis' speed is distance 60 over time 1.5. So 60 divided by 1.5 we're going to need to do. You can use your calculator for that. Okay, no problem at all. And what are we going to get? We're going to get 40. So his speed is 40, and make sure you get your units right. This is kilometres per hour. Now, Henri's on the train. Let me do the train in this pale blue colour. Henri's speed. Now, Henri gets on the train at 8:30 and he arrives at 9 o'clock. So his time is only half an hour, 0.5. He's travelling the same distance. So his speed is 60 divided by 0.5. Okay, 60 divided by 0.5 is 120 kilometers per hour. Okay, so that's their two speeds. Now, when did Henri's train overtake Louis in his car? When did they overtake? At this point here. Okay, where the lines cross over, halfway between 8:30 and 9 a.m, so that's 8:45. And finally, how far away from Lyon were they when Henri overtook Louis? How far away were they? So let's go this way. Halfway between 20 and 40, they were 30 kilometres away. So we can go through this in class this week, but there's a wee video to look back on to help you with it. You can also watch the videos from last week if you need to remember for the decimal time stuff. Okay, or you can ask me in the lessons.